What's up guys, Americana back with another video. People keep calling for the top in Bitcoin, but one signal that has never failed still hasn't triggered. Every cycle before the end, we get one thing, a monthly Bollinger Band expansion, and no expansion has always equaled no top, period. So let's get into the video. Alright guys, this is a little bit of not a rant or talking video, but we're not looking at mini charts. We are simply looking at this Bitcoin chart on the monthly time frame with Bollinger Bands added. It's a really simple way to look at the market, but sometimes simple is also powerful. So let's look back at previous cycles with the confluence or within the context of what Bollinger Bands were doing at that time. So it is my opinion that we've seen the same thing many cycles in a row. I'm going to skip this 2013 cycle because it's just a small little blip, but I think this 2016, 17, and 2021 cycle give us a good idea of how these things typically play out. Obviously, we have to go in for some bull market top. We go in and find our bear market lows, right? We go in and we find our bear market lows, right? At some point, those lows come in. I'm going to delete those. If y'all don't mind, just keep a mental image. But then what happens next once those lows come in, right? Now we start seeing the Bollinger Bands squeeze tighter and tighter, tighter and tighter in here until we finally get expansion. And what does expansion in the Bollinger Bands look like? This is what I'm talking about when I say expansion. Just complete unravelment of the Bollinger Bands. Let me get some of this off here. So to recap, we go in, we find our bear market lows, and once those lows come in, that's typically when we see the Bollinger Bands start to squeeze. When these Bollinger Bands squeeze, what does that mean? It means volatility, some sort of volatility is inbound. It's never meant that a bear market was in as these things were squeezing closer and closer. And like I've shown here, we've never had a top come in that wasn't within the window of these Bollinger Bands being completely blown out. And this is not something that we've seen show up this cycle. Even if we were down here, let's say these Bollinger Bands expanded to down here. Yeah, I can see your point for calling for a top, right? I don't think it has to get to a certain level, but no expansion at all is extremely sus to me. Extremely, extremely sus. Again, this is a very basic read of the market, but I think it's powerful nonetheless, right? We've seen that when we do get this expansion, when we do start to get expansion in these Bollinger Bands, this has marked the window. I always talk about windows, but the window where we see parabolic rise of Bitcoin, we see altcoins going crazy, and we see euphoria in the market. This is simply just not a dynamic we have had show up yet. We haven't had it blown out. Now, what does this mean? It is naive. I don't have an example here of Bitcoin expanding its Bollinger Bands and moving down. It's not an example that I can show you, but I'm not naive enough to simply ignore what Bollinger Bands mean. There is no promise of directions as this plays out. Currently, the Bollinger Bands on the monthly time frame are the tightest they have ever been in the history of Bitcoin, meaning a massively explosive move is coming. I can't promise you which way it comes. We have our confluences of things that we're looking at, but technically it can come into the downside too. All right. This is what I've been kind of talking about and alluding to about this zero or hero moment. This either comes in like this and we get bear market, and that's when we see our expansion in the Bollinger Bands, or we get a move higher and that's when we see our expansion in the Bollinger Bands. But these things are not going to tighten forever. Okay. These things are not simply going to get tighter and tighter and tighter without an expansionary move coming in either direction. So I do want to make that clear. There is a large move coming. I don't have a signal to point to these Bollinger Bands expanding and it not being bullish, but by definition, Bollinger Bands do not tell us the direction. So we cannot be naive in the situation. We can look at our other confluences and we can place our bets accordingly. Like I said, zero or hero moment in the sense of it's either going to expand and we're in a bear market, or we get the same expansion we've always seen to the upside, parabolic rise, Bollinger Bands completely blown out, euphoria in the market, alt season, all of our dynamics with Bitcoin dominance and DXY end up playing out. But this is just simply where we are at within the cycle. So this is a rather basic chart, rather quick video. I feel like we have done a good job describing what the potential outcomes are here. Just quick recap while I have you. How do these cycles play out? Bear market lows form, Bollinger Bands squeeze. When they expand, we're within the window where we could be finding a top, and we know it's the top because these Bollinger Bands have expanded. The volatility has already arrived and has already been placed into the market, and now they're ready to contract again and bring on a bear market. We have not seen that show up yet. Bollinger Bands don't mark the exact top or bottom. They simply show you that you're within a window that either one of those things could be happening. And at the same time, we've never seen a Bitcoin or crypto market top come in without expansion of the Bollinger Bands. This time around, they're the tightest they have ever been as well. All of that puts us in a zero or hero moment, kind of like I mentioned. We have our confluences with the other things we're looking at, but it is a very real possibility. Bollinger Bands do not tell us direction at the end of the day, even though we don't have an example on here, cycle by cycle of it expanding and Bitcoin or crypto falling. It's not a non-zero chance. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Let me know what you guys think about these Bollinger Bands. Let me know what you think about the crypto market in general. Is the top already in? Are we going to get alt season? I want to know y'all's opinions as always. I appreciate the support, new subscribers, comments, things like that. Make sure you guys keep doing what you need to do to make sure I get on here and keep making videos for y'all. I get a lot of comments that you guys have found the information useful, and that always warms me up and makes me feel good. So I appreciate you commenters that do so. I will catch you guys in the next one. Make sure you check out my other videos this week, and let's place our bets, baby. Zero or hero. Catch you on the next one. Peace.